So
the we
take
it's
this
like if
laptop
it's a
and just click on the next button.
conservative.
This is where you start when you log in. So I'm going through a new Code for America volunteer. And I would ask you verbally that this is the page you get to after logging in. So find my project on the projects page. You can do that by hitting the next arrow, or if you know how to find it yourself.
Active projects.
Yeah, that'll work.
Does it by extreme?
Good. So I'm recording all this, and I'm
Oh, so this is like good about you. This is like user research.
Yeah.
Because you have
I got the screen
So now
recording.
you didn't design or develop the screen recorder, right?
Right. This is just QuickTime screen
It's just so
recorder.
that you
Mac
can
has it.
see
Yeah.
how like you can do some user research.
And here's what we're saying too: don't give any personal identifiable information out at this point verbally, because the microphone's recording. Go down to hours equals
We
price.
basically never.
So is
For
that
hours equals price
there's no
project.
telling what it'll return, or we'll always try to return the.
This will be
There it
this will
is.
be the order.
But see, this is conservative, and it's returning.
And I'm gonna let you ask you to scroll up and down, read this
So
page.
somehow
So
it's
I'm
not-
going to give you some instructions now. Scroll up and down, read this page.
These would be the
Then,
first three here.
Instead of
Yeah.
clicking on
What we
anything,
would
I want you to
see
go to
is,
this
right,
page
right
next.
center
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Then, after reading it, scroll up and down, don't click on
I think one of
anything.
the- I think one of
Go to
problems
the
with doing that
slideshow
is,
page,
Okay.
you know,
and
for
then
lawyers,
start clicking play the slideshow.
Yeah.
From there, things should be apparent.
Okay.
I think one of the problems with that is that
If you want to talk or have any questions, you can, but mostly this is supposed to answer questions for you.
enough all over the map that might not
Ours
be
is
necessarily
price
reliable.
right?
Right?
That's
I
why
think
it's price
Particularly some groupings are a little bit more sparse than others. Like, as
Oh, that's
is,
nice.
You know, an allegory of the
Ubiquitous.
situation
Oh,
still in the country.
It's
It
useful
so
all around
happens
the
that
board,
right of center
right? That's
results
ubiquitous.
are much rarer than the other ones. You have like great, like, full right wing. You have center, left wing, left to center. Right of center is like Wall Street Journal,
Item.
International Business News.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily want to bake in something like that that might set an expectation.
That's
that we
wonderful.
might end up, like, leading on. Of course, that's in certain cases it's going to be able to be applicable for that.
Okay.
One option, though, that I wanted to talk to you about for both the tray and we also consider it for the Facebook articles.
Crowdsourced design and usability projects.
You know, what may be, and this may be something that we want to sort of validate with user testing before we pull the trigger on, but I was thinking it could be good to have some sort of a UI indicator of what biases they're getting when they actually service up the tray. So, like, we had something where it was like, you know, is this, you know, we have right, center, right of center, center, left center.
Okay, so your coffee at Starbucks costs more or less depending on how much money
grayed
you
out or colored to indicate, and then they can click on those to show the other ones.
to understand the unique problems that will come up. Okay, so I got it. Crowdsourced design usability projects basically, so that they can understand the human problems.
So if you have the
come
real
up,
thing is if you have a liberal article,
discover
try to
whether
return
what it'll be like when coffee
and
costs
you have
more or less,
regardless
depending
of
on how much money you
liberals.
make. Okay,
Like
perfect.
the actual set of like
Easy project starts.
my belief is, and of course you're right,
Every
every
project.
tested. My belief is that users are going to click like one or two. And I would be very surprised if you get the analytics
How
if
much
they
time
really
it
dig
will
deep into the other information. Because
take.
yeah, there's time to go through all. They're probably going to read one. They'll probably just read the one that's there that's different from the one you have. And so that being true, like, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got like a hard line conservative one and a moderate one. Because I also got like a little bit liberal as well. Whether or not we reflected in the actions you would take, I don't think are markedly different in terms of what you would do next.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, okay. It's kind of like interesting. It's the same reason on random article where I'm kind of like, it's kind of cool. I mean, I actually think that's kind of cool to be able to choose a thing, but it also could just be just a random article. I think it's whether they, but well, I think in that case though, it's kind of cool that you can choose if you want to get a general zeitgeist across the spectrum. It's kind of interesting.
These guys.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't.
Mind if we read this
I think
somewhere else?
maybe the use case is
Sure.
less.
Where would you like to go?
Let's
think
go
the
in the other
main
room over there. By the
thing
pizza.
about it is
Okay.
that, and this is something that I've
Little
only
distractions over there.
done, you know, once or twice. You know,
Here.
on
Here, this.
small sample size. To me, it's super
You go down to College Junior and get a banner for your browser.
Want to sit at the picnic table?
Yeah. Let me grab my jacket.
Yeah, get your jacket.
So now we fucking spent like almost all. I can do almost $200,000 not figured out. I'm not kidding you.
Who is this artist?
Some random piece of art. We're like, whatever, fuck you. You know, we draw on our wall. Out of control.
Is this a city that they used to?
Yeah. So there's exactly. So all companies have commercial benefits agreement, and so within this commercial benefit agreement, Microsoft vouched to pay $500,000, like $500,000 basically every year to local businesses. So one of our local businesses actually moved to Sonoma. So we're like, fuck. Now what are we gonna do? So we're like, whatever. We'll buy art with this money.
Wow.
So is this
we're
going to
basically
be?
free to like use whatever
Is this going to be
property we
in
want
mixed
to
reality?
in the city. But it,
Huh?
The price tags, are they going to be in mixed reality?
oh my god.
Okay, so
I don't know what you're talking about. Continue reading.
Please.
So the deal is that
We can
Aug-
record it,
augment
but I don't know what that means.
Is it going to be an augmented
But
reality?
you have to do this at my work.
Do you want it to be augmented reality?
I would. Well, it wouldn't necessarily need to be an augmented reality,
I don't
could
think
be-
so either.
but it could also be, like a computer screen that's so thin that it's just a price tag. Like they have that
It
technology.
could be
too
that.
now.
Sure, if that's what you want.
I mean, it could be one or the other. Depends on which makes more sense.
We can do it with coupons and paper right now. I printed some out the other day.
Oh,
And I
nice.
did a little test.
Nice.
okay.
All right. How expensive is it?
$1,000. Build a website.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
How expensive is the coupon to print?
But I was like, well,
Oh,
This
you're
is a
just talking about
regular
doing it on the internet.
Yeah, or with paper. There's lots of ways
'Cause you
to do
could-
it.
You could charge more or less on for products on a website,
okay, so this one is tangible.
Well,
depending on someone's
you can
income.
give people individualized coupons anytime you want. We do that. Manufacturers make
Yeah, individualized
coupons per
Okay.
person all the time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How much time? Okay. These questions.
Sweet sipping citrus was
Oh my goodness.
yes, but this one is like the deal is that like oranges were like
Start.
Yeah.
So you got tangerine, so like this is actually
Introduction slideshow about
that might be the carrot.
that's insurance. Interview question.
Yeah. Then we got strawberry fields, which is like carrot, orange, strawberry. It's like, and then so there's
There's 1 minute video.
these guys. So the deal is it's like
Oh, that's what that is.
these are the
After
Still
you've
think
looked
it's
over
going
the
to
page
help.
completely, tell me what you would click on, but don't actually click it.
It's like going under the water.
Right.
This right here. I would highlight this and I would start watching the 1 minute video.
That would be the smart thing. For some
And then
reason, I
I'd
can't
go
make it
up here.
clickable.
Yeah.
Then I would make it go up here. Because that's the same thing it looks like as this.
It is.
Yeah.
We'll skip the highlight video because it's a little noisy in here. Well, if you want to copy it, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Let me just email it to myself.
Yeah.
This one is
And make a new window.
New tab. Let me just do new tab.
Okay, so have you taken the ginger shots for brushless juicery? That
Okay.
it's all like paprika. It is intense.
Oh, I see what you want to do.
I'm just going to email it to myself.
No, don't do this. You just went into my email.
Oh, sorry. You want me to close out?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. You can always get back because you know how to get there. You go to projects.
Okay.
When you log in at Code for America.
Cute.
Oh, yeah.
You remember
okay, so
that?
projects and you scroll down to the hours of this price
Yeah.
project. Okay, cool.
You can do that. You can remember that much.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
So the other
Okay.
Read this. You can skim read it if you want, but read the whole thing and then go on to the slideshow.
My goodness. Okay. Let's see.
So
I don't like to skim read things.
You don't have to. But maybe I should give you some time in return or take a break and switch to talking about some of your projects.
Well, I want to go through this as much as I can. Well, I still have a good amount of energy, mental energy.
And so we're
A mission
having
is
a
design.
conversation with them. So I think that right now they're kind of like oh really? Yeah, they have a few storefronts. Yeah.
Introduction presentation and spend 15 minutes answering non-political choice questions.
Oh really? No, I would totally do it because they've been having like a lot of issues.
Please close that window.
Oh, this one?
This one here.
Close this one?
Close
Okay.
this one, and I want you to use this one
Okay, cool, sure.
instead.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. This looks great.
No, they're raw, and so they'll send
Huh.
us just
How is it
like
price?
every Monday.
Dot
We'll
coin.
get meetings.
Oh, is this? Oh, dot coin. Interesting.
And so people
Project design and test design, scale, price tag. Ubiquitous. Scale, price tag. Okay, so use dollar, price tag, coin, dot coin, demand, US dollar demand. Okay, so this is basically demand. Okay, so this, oh wow, okay, interesting. Wow, very interesting. Huh. So we have here where, okay, so supply and demand. Supply and demand of the dollar, supply and demand of the HOEP.coin. Now this is like a 0-0. Where the dollar and the .coin demand crossover. So the demand and the demand of the .coin crossover is actually higher. So there's more demand for the coin. Not only is there more demand, there's also shifted to the right. Okay, and there's even more demand for the coin just being used on its own, whereas supply and demand of the coin crossover. So the coin being used with the dollar and the coin being used in tandem, there's a certain amount of demand. And then the coin being used on its own, there's more demand. Right? Now, project to design and test a sliding scale price tag that's paying fees and ubiquitous. Permanent link to the slideshow is wow. Wow. Huh. Okay, there's the link. Book costs. First time so the book costs 2 HOEP.coin. 2 of them. So that means 2 hours of your time is the price you pay. Huh. Do you think that's a fair price? Click the buy button and your credit card info. If you're a first time user, check the box. How many slides is this?
22.
Okay. Okay. You're a first time user. Now I may have an inheritance that I just learned about this past like couple weeks. So I'll find out. But I'm going to be part of the Leslie something society. My grandpa just mailed me something to the Clan Leslie Society International membership. So we'll see where that gets me.
An invitation.
It seems like that. Because I was adopted. So my biological family was the Leslie family. So there's a lot of history there. Scottish. And you?
My descent?
Yeah, your ancestry. Irish?
Trying to comment.
Oh, okay. Okay. You think it's fair price? You click the buy button and enter your credit card info. If you're first time user, check the box. IRS, bank, other verified to copy and return an hour of the time is worth $25 per hour. Charging the credit card. Read 2 hours at $25 per hour. $25 per hour. Interesting. So how do you decide how much each person's time is worth? It's just based on their agreement about how much time they're worth. Does this mean that people will make less money, though? If people just settle? People who settle, they're just naturally going to make less, to get less items. But it doesn't, like, for them it doesn't matter as much because there's a lot of people who don't really care about the amount of stuff they get. So for those people who don't care about the amount of stuff they get, but then there's the people who care a lot about the experiences that they have too. So and then there's that as well. So okay. So first thing is to check the box to allow all the times where check the box to allow it. Verify the content from hour to times where click cost. 24 hours. Create a duplicate and non-anonymized public receipt. Close the transaction the HOAP duplicate and anonymized public receipt. Create a duplicate anonymized. Okay, so it's like on the blockchain.
Yeah.
You got your duplicate public receipt that's anonymized. It records the transaction as 2 HOAP charge. And now you have that in the blockchain. We add to any purchase additional consumer rewards you can claim, privacy controls that make sense, and fraud protection. You can enforce automatic global receipt inspection. Perfect. That helps. Okay, so we have here made to stick, made stick, made stick, made. So that tape is key to what exactly it is being communicated. Here. How it helps a sliding scale price tag charges more to rich people than to poor people. The more it's used, the more it will reduce financial equality. Interesting. To make the most profit, the seller will choose. This is very interesting indeed. Huh. Kind of, it's a good way to transition our economy to a more autonomous future society. This is an excellent solution to the problem of how to transition. Because if people have less money, then they'll be able to. If people have less money, they'll be able to negotiate how many hours it is to get the thing they want. And it's enforced by the network.
Exactly.
Make the most profit, most money price that's equally costed everyone. Let's consider a epipene that has a monopoly patent on a medical device they sell for a regular price now of only $500. If they switch to selling at a 10 HOAP price, poor buyer gets a 10 HOAP price tag. 10 hours at $10 an hour equals 100. 10 hours at $50 an hour equals 500. 10 hours at $200 an hour equals 2,000. Now, we live in a society very much right now, I think, that a lot of the people that are rich are very rich, and so they wouldn't mind paying more, I think, as long as it's not over a certain threshold, depending on the type of buyer. So you have the medium income buyer, too. So this is a sliding scale, really. If somebody's only, they're only wanting to spend a certain amount on their epipene, they might put 10 hours at, $70 an hour, right? Equals 700. And they would pay $700 for their epipene, this medical device, which is an expensive device normally. So, but what's to say why the rich buyer isn't just going to buy the epipene for $500 instead of spend their 10 HOEP price tags for $2,000. Why would a rich person ever use this? I mean, maybe they care about society at large. I mean, the medium income buyer and the poor buyer are the ones that would use it more. Mostly the medium income buyer would use it.
Well, just pretend I'm not here. Maybe the next slide will tell you.
Okay. If 15 cells in hours equal price square, then sales revenue jumps from $10,000 to $2,600. $1,000 to $2,600. Okay, so because each person, $2,600, so 3 EpiPens being sold, $2,600, as opposed to wow, 260. Well, hold on, no, 515. No, it's $1,500. So it goes from $1,500 to $2,600. Except one person, this person would never actually buy the EpiPen. So it goes from $1,000 because these two people spend $500 each normally. But so it goes from $1,000 to pulling all 3 into the mix to $2,600.
Yep.
With regular dollar pricing, it's been only sold. Okay, so we're increasing the value of products and services across the economy by doing this. Regular dollar pricing, but one could assume maybe that rich person wouldn't actually use it and it would go only to 2,100 instead of 1,000 to 2,100. But there's still an increase in sales.
It's a free market. I think they can price it however they want.
Yeah, they can price it however they want on the market. Yeah, I get the point. We're going to pricing too because they can afford to buy. With percentage, we're going to price all 3, one at 100, one at 500, and one at 2,000. Yeah. Meet Alberto. He's very poor and he needs an EpiPen. One to be only $1 for him because he's unemployed except for odd jobs, so real killers don't much want his EpiPen. Very low income buyers, greedy EpiPen set a floor price of $21.5. $25 plus 10. Oh, okay, so $25 plus 10 each. Because they don't want his. The marginal cost of EpiPen is producing 1 additional unit.
Oh, the tambourine?
Mind if I think for a little bit?
Yeah. It's mind-boggling concepts, and there's a lot to think about. It's very thinking rich building.
Building future.
Lots of crazy ideas.
Yeah, let me get some water and walk around real quick. Okay? I'll be right back.
Sure.
Oh.
Hey.
Two new jobs right after
I discovered a solution to poverty based on an equation and an application. I'm doing some user testing to see how people react to it.
Nice. Well, so do you need? Do you need any developers?
Code people?
Uh-huh.
No, I'm looking for economists, thinkers, business people, sales and marketing, people who can contact any famous economists, politicians to make this happen. It's a good solution, but it has some side effects, and obviously converting the whole economy to, well, it's sort of an economic sales model that charges more to rich people than poor people. See, so it gives actually the vendors, like retailers, like at Starbucks, say for instance, the ability to. I should read it maybe. Hours equals price project. Our mission is to design and build a better sliding scale price tag. Do you know what a sliding scale is?
No.
A sliding scale is what doctors sometimes offer patients to charge them less money. They say, oh, you only earn $50,000 a year. We're charging you full price. $50,000 isn't that poor. But then they say to somebody else, oh, you only earn $10,000 a year? we'll give you treatment for much less money. It's called a sliding scale because it slides according to your income. So the more money you make, the more you pay.
Right.
So I found a way to make that automatic, fast, and ubiquitous at every cash register. That will reduce inequality globally, make sellers a lot of money.
Because then I can send that to her, and then she'll be
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think. Maybe. Hopefully. Needs user testing. Maybe there's some problem. It's not such a good idea, you know.
Because I want to be like, hey,
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, businesses kind of do that, right? Like with coupons, for example. It's not based on income, but they do charge different people different prices.
Yeah, they already tried to do that, and I'm just basically letting them, giving away to let them do it better.
Yeah, for a better reason, too.
For better, well, no, they're still doing it to make money. I mean, ultimately, they're motivated. Their motivation hasn't clarified or become any more moral.
I see. Okay.
They're doing it because it makes them. So take EpiPen. We charge it 10 hours, right? Which is 10 hours of your time. If you make $10 an hour, that's an hour coin is $10. If you are Bill Gates, an hour coin is worth $1 million.
Okay, right.
An EpiPen. You've heard of EpiPen? They sell these things for like fabulously $500, right? For an EpiPen.
Yeah.
It's like they're gouging everyone. But that's actually 10 hours worth of labor for a person who makes $50,000 a year, their target customer. So they charge their target customer 10 hours of on-the-job work, 10 hours salary. But poor people, they have to work 30, 40 hours to afford an EpiPen, which is totally unfair.
Yeah.
And Bill Gates, he has to work half a second to afford an EpiPen.
Yeah, right.
We're going to give the manufacturer, EpiPen, the ability to charge Bill Gates 10 hours of his time, the $50,000 a year person 10 hours of their time, and the poor person 10 hours of their time. And then do the back calculation by the math, like, you know how we have credit scores? We have an hourly time score.
Yeah, okay.
And then Bill Gates pays a lot for, like, going to see a movie. Bill Gates has to pay, like, $10,000 to see the latest movie at his theater next door. Because it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or it's an hour. I don't know what they charge for a movie. How much do you make an hour?
Well, right now, I'm kind of in between, but about 50.
50.
Yeah.
So you're the target customer for EpiPen. Your price wouldn't change for EpiPen. For my more high-end products, like, let's see, what's something outside of your expense league that you normally buy? Your price would go down for it. Like a vacation tour. What? Rent. So your rent would go down.
Yeah, right.
But your cost on things that are normally bought by poor people would probably go up.
Yeah, right.
So like basic food things and staples maybe. I'm not sure. We need some economists to
Right.
kind of figure out how that would work out.
Yeah, well, it sounds cool. I hope it works out.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if I need some coders. What kind of coding
Yeah,
do you
for
do?
sure. I use like front-end code mostly, like React.
Oh yeah, I used to do that stuff. I'm a retired, failed, flawed user experience design unicorn from long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I sort of grew up with computers, did the whole thing. Never became famous or rich or anything though.
Yeah,
My bosses always shafted me and gave me the short end of the stick and just hated corporate life and didn't fit in really. So now I live a life of destitute poverty actually. But it's awesome. I've got like a rent-controlled warehouse studio apartment 2 blocks away from here. And
Nice.
I work street cleaning for 2 hours, 2 days a week, 3 hours a day. It's great exercise. It's totally feel good. Like, there's nothing immoral about cleaning streets. Because when I was working UX, they would have me do asinine things like make us a fact page, and I'd, make the facts. I'd do some user research. I'd write the frequently asked questions page, and then some CEO ass would be like, change these because these are embarrassing. And I'm like, that kind of defeats the purpose. Have you heard of user-centric design? And they're like, you want your job? And I'm like, Not that bad. And so I ended up destitute.
Yeah.
But the pizza here is good. Hey,
That's true.
did I blow your mind?
I had an idea.
Yeah.
What if we incorporate this with crowd counsel? I've been needing to find a cryptocurrency in which people can get paid for their openly sharing and effectively evaluating ideas.
I like it.
If you look at the past couple hundred years of work, let's just do a big screenshot here. Okay.
Sure. You want to use the computer for reference? We can open a
Well,
browser.
We could open a browser, sure. So,
Sure. Google.
agriculture. Now,
Or not, if you just
we
want
don't
to
need
talk,
to.
that's fine.
Okay? All I need to do is show you. Okay.
Yeah.
About 1820. Let's take a look at the landscape of work. About 90% of people in 1820 got paid for one thing: farming. 1820, we were largely a sustenance farming
I'm
community.
way ahead of you here. Read
Right.
a lot of Marx.
And that went
all
down.
that.
That went down to about 4% that we see today.
Yep.
And today, if you break work into three categories:
Mm-hmm.
having ideas, evaluating ideas, and executing on ideas, most people get paid for that third category, the execution of ideas.
Yep.
Okay, about 90% execution of ideas. Maybe 10% get paid for, evaluating ideas and being kind of the CEOs and investors of the world.
Yep.
That 90% over the next about 10 years or so is going to go down also to about 4%. Many less people, other than maybe not 4%, but right now the estimates are 46% of people are going to lose their jobs to automation. The point is, the execution of ideas, and there's very little that it seems AI and robots aren't going to be able to do. Very little. There's going to be very little work on the execution of ideas. Therefore, what's left is the other two categories, having and evaluating ideas.
Yep.
So that's where we would want to focus, is having people get paid for having an effective openly sharing and effectively evaluating ideas
Been
that
there,
can
done
solve
that.
our challenges.
Yeah.
So that's where this crowd council comes in. The focus is on the future, the long term. The focus is on transitioning our society from where we are to where we want to be. And I think you've bridged the gap already. You hit the nail on the head. You've driven a stake into the ground so far for this transition that's going to occur.
Yes. I mapped it out. It's 250 pages long.
Great. Is there a way to take this 250 pages and kind of just infuse it with people getting paid for having ideas and evaluating those ideas in an effective manner?
Yes. It's on slideshow 3.
Okay.
You're on slideshow 1, page 4 of 5 of 22. But you're in the right direction. You're just racing way ahead of me.
Doesn't sound like I am.
Well,
Sounds
way
like
ahead of
you've done a
the
lot of-
slideshow.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going in the same direction, and I'll circle around
You've been
to
here
that.
before. I know that. I'm aware that you've been here before. So, very intriguing. Very intriguing indeed. Now, personally, I think there's a lot of work to be done here. Because it's not just as simple as saying, how can we make people effective, openly share their ideas and effectively evaluate them. That word effectively evaluate is a very key word.
That
How do you
problem is solved.
define what is an effective evaluation of an idea?
Here we go. I outline how we define an effective evaluation of an idea in here. Jumping ahead a little bit. Your choice will decide. So there's a version B of this slideshow and form.
Okay.
And there's a contest to decide which form is best and which slideshow is best.
Well, there's going to be a bunch of votes, okay?
It's
a
a
lot
voting.
of voting going on.
Right. And this is how we score it here. So this is the slideshow interview. So it's time to invest. Now you get credit for your time.
Oh, okay.
Description, improve our slideshow and interview form. abilities: reasoning, writing, understanding, others thinking different. Rewards. According to our social theories, we should crowdsource our design. If you judge well, you can win prizes. So your judgment gets judged.
So it's gamified.
Yeah, it's gamified. And then we have our standard questions, ranking slideshow A for persuasion, for polish, originality, accuracy. Where's humor? There's comedy in here someplace. But as a matter of fact, there's a later question that says, can you remove one of these categories and add another one?
Okay.
So even if comedy isn't there right now, as a contributor to Project Hope, you could change the form and have people vote to add comedy as a criteria for voting.
Okay, comedy is criteria. Okay.
So it's all forms, modifying slideshows, modifying documents, and all crowdsourced.
Here's some documentation for you that I was working on. Okay, so here is some of the work I did last time I was here at Code for San Francisco. And each one of these categories is going to have a vote. Every one of these there's people voting on it. Okay, that's the first step.
Right.
Secondly, first people are going to vote on planetary objectives. People are going to be saying, okay, here's a planetary objective.
You're establishing a rubric,
here's a planetary objective, and people write them down, and people will vote. Is this actually a planetary
from
objective?
The 4 categories you mentioned before, the goals, those.
Let me just go walk through this.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Then there's planetary risks and planetary problems. Okay. And people will vote on all these 3 categories. They'll propose ideas, and they'll vote on those ideas. Yeah. Then there'll be some votes. Importance. So then on the planetary objectives, people will vote on the importance of the planetary objectives, the urgency of the planetary objective, and other things.
Yeah, like your categories. I see them.
Now this is just a brainstorming phase. So that's etc. Just means more brainstorming can be done.
Yeah, I like it.
And then on planetary risk, people will vote how much is this risk perceived, right? Yeah. How urgent is it to address this risk, etc. So there will be a vote on so that we'll get an idea of the risk and how is it a real risk or is it that people perceive or is it just some fake risk or something? Yeah. You know. And then planetary problems, urgency to solve, scope. Scope is just like how large of an area of the world does it affect? Is it just a problem that's affecting Northern California? Regions affected? How much time? And what's importance and etc. Right? So we'll get an idea of how important the problem is, how urgent the problem is to solve, and that's kind of the basic framework now. Now for planetary objectives, we'll have overarching proposed action. People will say, okay, here's the objective, here's the importance and the urgency. Now we vote on what a proposed action for the objective is. Okay, and then for planetary risks and problems, we'll have overarching proposed solutions. Lots of people will be submitting ideas for the planetary risks and problems, and there'll be like lots of submittals of ideas. Sure. And then lots of people will be voting.
Basically describing a distributed decision-making algorithm for creating crowdsourcing content and creativity.
Yeah, exactly. And then a vote, how much will it accomplish the vision/objective? We want to make sure that the proposed action is actually going to lead back to accomplishing the planetary objective that we set forth. Vote, how much will it help reduce the risk? How much will it solve the problem? Okay? And then all of those data points are all going to go into what's called a relevance axis, right? So there's an importance axis. There's going to be a relevance axis. How relevant do these solutions? How relevant are the solutions to our original datum points of the problems and solutions, the problems that we want to solve as a society? Okay, we want to make sure it's relevant because if it's not, then it shouldn't be really considered. Okay. True. Now, from there, we're going to work to reduce the required effort. So once we've determined that, yes, in fact, this is relevant to solving the problem, how can we reduce the required effort of those proposed solutions?
So
we're going to brainstorm all those things, and people are going to say, yes, that will work, whatever.
Write all this down, though. I like what you're saying, but it's as long as it's just you in a photograph. It stays in your head. It can't grow.
Well, yeah. I mean, I only have so much time to work on this, but
Hmm.
I mean, yes, I agree.
Can you upload that photo into? There's a document in here. I've got.
But there's
4 things like
dependencies. Okay, so there's dependencies.
that. Uh-huh.
So when we're going to reduce the required effort, but people are then going to say, okay, well, this thing, actually depends on such and such. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Some things have dependencies.
Yeah. More dependencies increase the size of the dot. Okay, so in other words, how relevant is something is going to be a size, I think. Okay, it could be sheesh. I can't quite remember exactly. So maybe it is good to have written this down. But point being,
Well, what you need to do is
I
write it
remember.
down, model it, and then sell it, right?
Yeah, because
And then it becomes like
here.
the world knows about it.
Yeah.
Or what is your goal with this project?
So importance, urgency, and required effort, right? The dot, how important is something? People are going to be voting on how important something is. Well, there's going to be many people voting. So some people might vote. Oh, so let's say that this is the axis, the y-axis, and the x-axis. How many people think something is important? There's going to be a range there. Like some people are going to think it's really important. Some people are going to think it's not important at all. So the dot is going to take on this shape, okay, based on the dependencies.
Have you studied
If there's
fuzzy
a lot
logic
of
at all?
if there's a lot of dependencies, then the dot's going to be larger. Okay,
You're describing fuzzy logic
and there could even be two dots for the same idea. Some people in the society, and really what you're going to be developing is kind of like a probabilistic, kind of like like electrons are. There's a certain probability that they're going to be in certain locations. And probably there could be instances where there's a probability that the thing is there, but then there's also a probability down here. So really they're not going to be. These dots are going to take on unique shapes of probabilities.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that all works.
And then is it too uncertain? If it's too uncertain, no. Then we accept the solution. Yes, then we're going to reject and we're going to revisit it later, because we want to focus on the solutions that are certain to be implemented quickly.
Yeah.
Eventually there's dot. Eventually this all leads to an X Prize design.
Okay.
It's submitted to X Prize for a solution, and then it funnels back out again because there's going to be all these teams then working on the implementation of the solution.
Okay.
So this basically serves like a funnel to the X Prize design, and then another funnel to the solution.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a jet engine, kind of so to speak. It's like a rocket engine, where funnels and then funnels again.
It's good. Yeah, you diversify, narrow down, diversify, narrow down.
Yeah. And just, this is how I think it's a way to overcome the world's challenges, really. So, I just wanted to share that with you.
What's your, so yeah, I mean, I think it's at the point where you need to create a Google onboarding document, right? Like what I did was, I started writing that stuff down, taking photos and uploading them.
Yeah.
And I made a project.
Yeah.
And then I can share it with more people, and if they agree, they can add to it. Draw sketches, stuff like that. All these Google Docs are editable. You can make changes to fix them anytime.
Yeah. Okay.
So
my goal though would be to go to profitability quickly. Okay. The MVP we can get to profitability within like less than 3 weeks.
For what?
If we were to design the cross between Ike's priority matrix and design thinking, that MVP I was telling you about earlier, I think we could get to profitability within like less than a month.
Do it.
But I'm not a software programmer.
Oh. Me neither.
I thought you were. I thought you said you were.
I used to be.
Oh.
I don't need that anymore.
Do we need
I've got this solution of poverty I'm working on.
Do we need another teammate?
Well, I'm really just trading you time, really. I'm sticking on hours equals price.coin.
Okay.
This to me is like a big deal, so I'm kind of like tied to it.
Yeah.
But I'm like gonna look over your project, and tell you what I think.
Yeah.
And you're like looking over my project and kind of like giving me your opinion and what you think.
Yeah, I mean that is useful. Yeah. So we can refine. We can refine the projects.
I mean, I'm not sure what you really want to do. That you need a software programmer for. It sounds like you've got a note cards and you're talking about a process.
We actually need to build the tool, the project. The project needs to be built.
I mean, can't you just do that in Google Docs?
Not exactly.
You can prototype it in Google Docs and spreadsheets and stuff like that.
I don't think you can.
I don't think so.
I mean, this Google Docs is not sophisticated enough.
Oh. Well, Google Docs and manual hand work. So one of the things about hours equals price that I discovered is that, we can charge people 5 minutes of their time, but that means I can buy 5 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
And I can have really human thinking spend 5 minutes doing the task.
Let's move somewhere else. I farted. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, good idea. Actually, I was going to do a demo with somebody on this for the user experience team.
Oh, cool.
I think I might finish up with you and ask if there's anything more you wanted me to look at. And then I'm going to go head over there and see if they